first of my very basics tutorial, and there were loads of other videos out there that cover this, but I thought I would include it in my channel. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do movement. So basic movement, we're going to do side to side movement, up and down movement as a standard for directional movement. You will also be able to do some sort of eight directional movement, but we will visit that in another video to correct that. So let's make a new game. We'll go blank. We don't want any of this stuff. My new game. Call it that. So let's go. And as you see, we're in the interface. You will need a sprite. So we'll create one. It'll default it to 64 by 64, which is fine. Obviously, depending on your movement speed, depending on the size of the pixel, it will feel larger or larger or smaller. If it's smaller, it'll feel faster. If it's larger, it'll feel slower, even though it's the same speed, just when you're doing your input. So we'll go to Object, and we've got a player. We'll set that sprite to sprite 1. It's best keeping it to a similar name. Now, when you're doing animated sprites like running and that, if you're going in 4 directions, you're going to have 3 lots of sprites, because what you'll do is for your left and your right, you'll use one set of sprites, and then you'll use the draw sprite underscore ext and use it to flip the asset. You won't do that with the up and down, because when you're going up, generally the back of the person you'll see, and when you're coming down, is you'll see the front, so you'll see the face. So now we've got that object set up. Brilliant. So what we'll do is I'll show you a really basic way, and then I'll show you a better way of doing it. So we'll go to the step, which is something that's executed every frame of your game. It should be set to 60 by default, but if you're on an older version, you might still have it set to default for 30. You should put it at 60, to be honest, because 30 will feel slow. So what we'll do is we'll write some variables. I know you normally do variables in your create. We'll just call them key left, key right, key up, and key down. So we know what these are going to do. What we're going to do is put a keyboard check, not keyboard check press. Keyboard check press only registers when you press it. So you might do that for an input, let's say like a jump, because you don't want to hold jump and you just keep going on a trajectory. So we'll go. So keyboard check VK left. At the end. Oop. Second side. So new keyboard. So size of it's taking me a little bit to get used to it. I used to work in IT, so I'm a bit used to using other people's keyboards and setups, but I'm still doing it again. Keyboard check. Up. Okay, so you're going to think of like the RPGs games, so things like Wild Arms. I mean, even Zelda to an extent, but you did have like the directional movements, which I mean it'll do, but you'll want better animations for this. So right now we've got these 4. That'll be left, right, up, and down. So what we're going to do first is we'll do an if statement. So we'll go if key left. Now you can write it as true, like that. I prefer to put them in brackets, or so the easier way, save you on a bit of typing, is key left, just because what that's saying is when key left is true, if you wanted to make that false in a statement like that, because you've already got something that's bringing it down, you would put an exclamation mark next to it, and that make it a not. So if you type is the same as using false, but we don't want that. I'm getting too much off topic. So what you've got is you've got an X and a Y coordinate. So the X coordinate will deal with your left and your right, and the Y coordinate will deal with your up and your down. So what we'll go is X. Now there's two ways to write this, so you can go X equals X plus, and then we'll say 4. But we'll cover this first, and then we'll come back to it. Oh, sorry, not plus. We're moving negatively for that because the your X and your Y coordinates are 0, 0 at the top right. So X equals X plus 4. Now you don't have to put the semicolon. I just think it's good practice because if you do switch a different language, some languages require it. All it's saying is it's a new line. But the white space handles that. So if you do that sort of thing, and then you do whatever, this equals this, it doesn't matter too much. So let's do a key up. So we'll do the negative values first. So it'll be y equals y minus 4. And if key down, y equals y plus 4. What have I missed? Oh, no, I haven't. Sometimes those red markers will throw you off while you're middle of writing a sentence. So only matters when you finish writing them if you're still getting them. And if you hover over to it, it'll say what it is. It might be a case where you've got like a brackets inside brackets, you've not put enough brackets on the end, or it could just be formatted wrong. So we'll save that. Then we'll flip to his room. We need to include the cube on here, and then if we play, it's checking surprisingly longer than it usually does. It usually does it in about 10 seconds. So you're going left, right, up, down. That's great. Now if you hold them at the same time, it'll go diagonal. Obviously the diagonal's going 4 and 4, so it'll actually be faster. So what you'd want to do is you want to reduce that. I will cover this in another video. Just getting your movement down is the main thing. So another way of writing this is where you've got this will be like a shorthand way. So if we get rid of this, and then we put a minus there. If we put plus there, get rid of this in the middle. That's 4. Oh, left X in there. If we could ever say that. Oh, click it wrong. I think that's keyboard. So Now this will work the same because the statement's basically the same. It's just a different way around it. But you'll want to write less code um, unless there's a reason that it makes it less readable. So I wouldn't call you variables something that don't mean anything. So I wouldn't call you variables like, well, not for that reason, but so I wouldn't call you variables like that because when you're reading through, you'll have a hard time understanding it, especially if you're adding extra features to it. So you're doing like a run and a jump. Now, what you can do is we can put like you'll see a lot of these key shift. So keyboard check. And what we'll do is we'll put a shift on this, and what we'll have here is in the if statement, it won't just be one value, it'll be multiple things with VKL shift. So the one on the left side, the one next to the A key, well, next to close to. So we'll get that on there. Now there's two ways of doing this. Is if you're just doing for a single line, you can use the ampersand and not key shift, and then we'll go if key left and key shift. We'll put that to x equal 8. So basically double speed. So this is like you're running. So now if we run this, so we're going that way, and then I haven't done it the other way, so it doesn't make any difference. So if it's not used, it won't make a difference. But you can run like that. So you can copy this down and then just change this value to the up, down, left, right, and then change your x and your y values as needed. So what I'm going to show you now is, because you shouldn't really put numbers in places like that, because if you want to then change the speed, you either got to go like replace shift, go like that, and that's all right. But what happens if, say, two of them were 4 and 2 of them were 5 in the values? You'd have to do that twice. So, or if it's just a single value that you use at one point or another, you want to avoid using numbers like called magic numbers for this reason. So one of the things you'd do is you'd go to create, and you would create a variable here. So we'll go walk speed equals 4. So now that equals that value. So if we replace walk speed like that, if we want to update that, we have one place. It also keeps it separate from the rest of the code, which you'll have a lot less than you create normally. So if we go 6 and we go to run it, you see we're a bit faster. There's a few other ways to reduce this even further, because you might use this further down the line. So we'll keep it at 6 for now. So what we'll do is we'll create two variables, so LR speed, left, right, or you could go, I suppose you could go. And set this at 0, and V, SV, set this at 0. So that's the vertical, I think that's spelled wrong. Horizontal, vertical. So now I've got these two values. So one of the things you can do is, because you're either registering a 1 or a 0 on these keyboard checks, because it's true or false, so true equals 1, oop, false equals 0, so Boolean statements. So these are the numbers. What we'll do is we'll comment these out, we'll use these. So now if we go we've got equals, then in here what we're going to do is, because right is the positive value and left is the negative value, what we'll do is we'll put key right, take away key left. So if key left is 1, it'll be -1. If key right is pressed, it'll be +1. And if neither is pressed, it'll be 0. So you won't move either way. And then what we'll times that by is the walk speed. So I'll write this out. So key left pressed equals -1 times 6. So then we go -6. So then if we bring it down to, so then if we go like x equals plus HSBD, that takes care of all of this. So what we'll do is we'll comment that out, which you can do with a / and then a star, and then if you put / star, no sorry, star / that'll do a multi-line comment out. So now we've got that. We'll change this. So I've just copied that. So then we'll have key down, key up. So then it's going to be the same. And again, what we'll do is we'll do y plus equals b plus pd. So obviously if you're adding a negative value, it'll go down. If you're adding a positive value, it'll go up. So now, if we do this, it should work no problem. There you go. So we've done it in fewer lines. We've cut off a bunch of if statements. So at this point, you've actually got a very basic starting for your game. So now you're going to want to know about the run. that's very easy. So if we put a run speed equals, we'll still keep it as 8. I think if you keep it anywhere, it might be too high. So what that's telling me is it's not used anywhere. So when you set new variables, it helps you keep on top of it. If it's not referenced anywhere, then you can delete it as you move on. Otherwise, you end up with code everywhere. It's hard to follow, and you end up writing too much. So what we'll do is we'll put semicolons as always. We'll keep. Oops, feel nice. So we'll keep these. Yeah. What we'll do is if right, so if that's not pressed, we'll do one speed, and then we can do we'd have to do individual. This we can do this. So we'll copy these, put them in there. Now what we'll change is we'll change walk speed here to run speed. So I know we changed it there, but because we're using the value it's outputting here, down at the X and the Y, whatever it's feeding it down to will be whatever it is. So let's run that again. You can see I've got it turned on, turned off, turned on, turned off, turned on. Right, so that's a pretty standard way of doing it. So at this point, what you'll be able to do, you'll be able to move the character around on screen. I'll just show you a basic of the drawing. So what we'll do is we'll duplicate this and we'll duplicate this. I'm not going to do some fine art for it. I'm just going to do very, very basic. So we'll go back and we'll call this one rename front, and we'll rename this one right. So we'll change them slightly. What we'll do for slow down white. What we'll do for the right is because I'm going to say we'll do this one a bit different. Is it's the finest art I've ever done. So we know which way we're going. You can do more advanced things with the direction. There we go. That's about right. I also think one of the best features of GameMaker Studio is that it's got this built-in editor. Yeah, it's not the best. A lot of people use like a sprite or whatever it's called, and then we'll go front. So too large. You've got your sizer up here. Change different sprites. So we'll put. In fact, that's a better way of doing it. So we've got the eyes there. This is a problem. Well, it's not really a problem. It's just me rushing to get through this. So let's. So it's got all your simple tools. So looks that's your back. You have eyes on your back. On your right, we'll put it so you can see one eye. So I'll show you why we're going to do it like this. So now we've got that. You can do it off direction if you want, which is you've got the built-in direction, or you can do like a dir. So if you've got like pdir for like play direction, I use that quite a lot. But you don't need either really, unless you want it more readable, because it works in like the circles, so 0, 90, 180, 270, and then basically 360 is 0. So that's where you're going to get that information. So making some good progress here. What we'll do is we'll create a draw function. So now we're up draw. So we'll do some if statements. If I just there's one. If I'm just going to do the outer template, and if SPD equals 1, and if SPD equals -1. This is going to be a very basic, it's not the most comprehensive. I'm missing, oh yeah, I'm missing a bracket. So, right, so HSPD is right, so we're going to draw sprites. We will go S player right. If you're using animate, use -1, or you can use 0 if you just do it. I'll just leave it as -1. It's just so we'll go X, Y. What that is that's the objects X and Y based on their point, which I'm going to go to in a minute and show you, because what it'll do is it'll jump around a bit when you change directions. So with these, it's that. So this is front. This is back. So when you're going back, you'll see the back of them. When you're going down, you'll see front of them. Now just imagine this horrendous block with an eye is like a cute anime protagonist of some RPG, some Lost Land. So there's a few different functions, but you've got draw underscore sprite ext. As you can see down here, you've got a bunch of extra values, which you can do all sorts of things. So you can scale them up, so you can make them twice as big. So you might just have them small on the map, and then it gets to a certain point, and you might want them to be enlarged. It might be the cast a spell, it makes them enlarge them, while the enlarged one appear twice as big. But it also allows you to change the direction. So we've got X scale, which is the left and right. By default, it's 1, so it's one whole unit of itself. So if the sprite's 64 by 64, on that it'll be 64. Now if we go -1, it's going to be the same but reversed. So we'll keep the Y scale as 1. We'll put rotation as 0. So don't need any of this. I believe this is image blend, image alpha. So just before I show you what we're going to change, because I don't think I've done it, because we're drawing like that, we'll click play. Yeah, I thought so. So what we need to do is draw underscore self. So going that way. Okay. Ah, that is because I'm using draw self. Oh. Oh. Right. Sorry. This is why. I've just realised. So and what we'll change these to is because it's the full sum, isn't it? I normally do a direction. So if HP is this direction, do this, do that, and just have it as a separate variable. I'm just trying to show you shorthand. I mean, I might show you that in a second. Uh, let's have a look. That should be right. Sorry about that. That's because we don't have a default value. So going down, going up, you see how it's jumping like that, and that's to do with the origin point of the sprite. So if we do draw self, this is why I use rotation, because then you update it so you get a weird thing like that. We don't have a default. We don't have a default value. Now we could basically set this. What I'll do is I will include, we'll call Peter right equals 0. Peter on this will be 180. And especially doing the complete 180 means you're switching what you're doing. It's not just programming you learn from me. Right, so this will be 90 and Peter equals 270. So we've got some there. What we need is we'll need a reader. We'll set that to 0. So now what we'll do is we'll replace these. Sorry about this. I was trying to show you the quickest way, but instead I made a little mess of it. So P it'll be 90 because it works right, down, left, up. Peter. So I use like P, and B, based on what it is. So there's B, I'll use it for like a boss. Or M, just like Monster. Could be anything. It just makes sense to me. So now, because we're always going to have a value, that's why it'd be blank. Because we're setting the initial value there, so it will start right. So when we run it now, we're there. And so you notice it more left to right than up and down. So what we'll do is on each of your images, you've got an origin. So down here, you see which is top left. So that's the point it rotates on. That's why on left and right, it jumps from that and on up and down it doesn't. So if you always put your things to middle center, it takes care of this because what you can run into additionally is collisions. So if you're trying to collide with something, there you go. Now I know it's not the greatest, but basically the majority of the way through making your first game if you've not made one before. All you need is an endpoint and some collisions. You might have a collision that makes it game over, which we can, in fact, we can do that very quickly. So let's make it functional. So let's close this down. I was just going to split things up into little tutorials, but I'll keep going. So I've got a win. I know. Oh yeah, there's a. I created it in the wrong folder. It used to just create it in the right folder, and they changed a bunch of things on it. I don't know if it was more flexibility, organization, loss. So what we'll do is we'll copy this bad boy. So as you can see, you can do duplicate. This is the Command and D. So if we click it like that, Command and D, oop, not like that, Command and D. So we'll quickly create win, sorry, S, win. If you keep a little S in front of it, it means when you go to name something, win as an object, you'll know which one's the object and which one's the sprite. Sometimes you can't have the same name twice, so like I can't call this win and then call the object win. So it's not great for that. What we'll do is we'll change them to the good old faithful colours. So we'll do, cracky. Oh, what am I doing here? That's not going wrong. I've clicked on the wrong one, haven't I? That'll change. Right, we'll have to do it again. So, lost. Believe it or not, I do actually know what I'm doing. I'm just, I guess I'm nervous because it's like the first tutorial I've done. But just let me know how I've got on. I know I've done it again. I will get to some more exciting ones because I do a lot with like radius of an enemy to you and their behavior. So if you've got like a monster roaming around when it's at a certain distance, it might walk towards you. If it's facing the other way, it might just stop. If it's a certain distance, it might charge at you. Those sort of things, and I can show you how to do. I can show you how to do them at a later point, but that's not for today. I mean, I could probably keep going, but I don't think it'd be beneficial to. So this is going to be, absolute bare basics. Now you can code a collision, or I think until you get comfortable with it. I mean, I'll cover collisions in another video. What we'll do is we'll do collision objects, and then we'll use is it destroy or is it instance destroy? What you've got here, because you've got an interaction between two objects, you can use self and other. So if it's self, it'll be the player, and if it's other, it'll be the other object. So you might have it with a collectible, but then you might have like a point value, so then you go like points plus equal 100. Obviously that's going to be grade X, we don't have a variable there and it'll light it, but it'd throw up an error at the moment. So that's how you do very simple collectibles. You might have like a power up that sets something off, and then you'd use a bunch of different things, and it can go on and on and on. So we'll just we'll just keep this simple. We've got win loss if so we'll just leave that for now, and we'll create another object. Display. So it just goes display. What this is going to do is just going to display some text on the screen. So we'll create a variable called global. I'll call it global state. So we'll set it to 0 by default. And I'll just put above it. So 0 equals playing, 1 equals loss, 2 equals 2 equals win. So I know it's going to be very basic, and you're probably not going to be that interested in it, but let's do draw GUI. What this does is it'll use the room width, and it sets it right in the foreground, so you will use it like a GUI interface. And then if you want to hide it, you'd put a statement around it which allows you to toggle it on and off. So if global state equals 1, and what we use is draw text. I use draw text for a lot of times when I'm developing something to check the values that are coming through. So if we go like room width, because we're only using it on a single screen, we'll go room width, room height, and what we're going to do is we're going to divide these by 2, so it gets the full room width. Obviously, don't do this if the room width is and the room height are bigger than your actual camera, but because we're on a simple screen, it'll work fine. So you lose. And then we'll do another one. We'll go global statement state U equals 2. You win. What we'll do is we will draw set H line. If you've ever done any like web stuff, you know about this, but what we'll do is FA center, so it center aligns it. You know, you have a like word where you can make it all center, because that's what you. Let's make it dramatic. Let's put some exclamation marks. Right, so once that's like that, another thing I'll do is I will put keyboard check, keyboard, so I'll call it restart in fact. So restart equals keyboard check, and we'll use press, so it registers when it's pressed. We should only do it left and right, and the shift, we'll keep it away from that. We'll do VK enter, so if you want to restart the level, and end. Keyboard check, press. And so it kind of, from here on out, it kind of gets easier and more complicated because you'll start understanding the structure of the language and what everything means. So if restart, and you'll know more and more statements. So there's is it room restart? So what that'll do is that'll restart this room if you press the enter. I'm using like deliberately far away keys just so you know. Room, nope, not room, game, game end, that's it. So now if you click the escape key while you're playing the game, it'll exit, and if you press the enter, it'll restart the level. So in case you lose. One thing it'll need to be included on here, you've got a little question mark here. I just usually put them in the top corner. You can't actually see them. But now what we can do is we've got all these instances. We can put some red, we'll put a green, oh, sorry mate, that's because I went off on a tangent. What we need to do is just go back to the player. We've got these collisions, global state equals 2, global state equals 1. By putting the global state, what you're doing is you're making that variable global so it can be accessed by any other object. So you might have it like as a score, like if this happens over here, then add to that score. If this does, add to that score, or anything else. It could be like a level, door opening, like I've used in one of my game jam games, where when you hit certain conditions met, it'll switch the door so it'll move up by, it'll slowly move up by 64, so it looks like it's actually scrolling up. And then one last thing is we will, if global state equals 1, sorry, equals 1 equals 0. So what this will do is once you've won or lost, it'll disable everything. Global state, if global. Have I called it? Right, let me just double check. What I've done is capitalization is important. Right, that's why. It probably would have been quicker just to change it at the variable level, but no, I've done it there. So let's go back to the step. You can get rid of these if you don't need them. So like we can get rid of that draw because we don't need that there. So you lose, you win. There you go. You can go crazy. You can make your very first game maker. Get used to it. But that's all I'm gonna cover in this video. So please like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, have a go, make a game, get them to play it, and let me know how you get on. If you get any problems with any of this, just drop it in comments. Bye.